I will call the City Commission meeting of Coffeyville to order for Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. We will have roll call by Shasta.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Here.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Here.
and Mayor Maples.
Here. Thank you. We will now have our invocation by Pastor Mark Wilson of the Church of God. Will everybody please stand?
Our Father God, we address you as Almighty God. We thank you, Jesus, for coming, laying down your life for us. We thank you, Holy Spirit, for the power you give as you enter into our heart and live through us. We are reminded of your word tonight that you will look throughout the whole world and strengthen, fully strengthen those whose hearts are fully committed, surrendered, empowered by you. And we thank you tonight that we will do just that. We will bow before you, want to do your will in everything we do, and be a pleasure to you. The whole Bible, the whole 6,000 years that we've been around as man, we want to be in relationship with you. We know that was your plan from the very beginning. I pray that the businesses done here in Coffeyville, our beautiful city, would reflect just that, that we would be fully yielded to you in all of we say and do. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, we will move on to a review of the agenda. We will have our consent agenda, which is our City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Action to appoint Chris Weiner as director and Ben Brubaker as alternate to the KMGA Board of Directors, serving to August 30th, 2027. And our 2025 appropriation ordinance number AO-25-13 in the amount of $2,812,849.72. Do we have any highlights
Yes,
from our
I do.
appropriation ordinance?
I do. I have several. We have Algar Martin and Associates, pay estimates on the several projects that we are working on, $14,779. We have Animal Control and Care Academy. This is training and certification. Since we have city manager announced about we're taking the animal control, it's now under code enforcement and doing some proper training with some people, $3,600. Arthur J. Gallagher Incorporated, $35,277. That's general liability on our electric plant. Baker Services, this is for ammonium sulfate. This is water, wastewater, $9,147.60. We have Meriton Health Life Insurance, $44,781. Meriton Health for health claims paid, $79,952. Mid-America Court Works. This is pay estimate number 2 and 3 on the tennis courts out by LeClaire Park, $497,200. We have Midwest Electric Transformer, a 300 and a 500 kV transformer, $53,961. Midwest Minerals, this is for some rock, sand, dirt, in conjunction with the various areas in the streets and the cemetery roads, $7,363. Pro Seal Incorporated, this is the asphalt rejuvenation application, $57,644.94. TC Underground, pay estimate number 1 on the Buckeye Water Line, $44,135. TLC groundskeeping. This is for 50% completion on the project downtown with the large pots, the flowers in them that you've all seen, and the upgrade, and they're taking care of this. $8,488.15. If you will remember, several months back, we voted on a bid that they submitted. We had several bids submitted and we voted on them, and I think it's doing a real good job, and I like to see all the positive comments that have been made. Wortzilla North America, $26,564.39. This is for cylinder pressure sensors. Waste Connection of Oklahoma, this is for our residential trash service, $42,785.75. And Wex Bank, Phillips 66, $18,080.62. This is for fuel for the various departments for the month. That's it. Yeah.
I have a question. We had Huber and Associates. There was a PD and backup is what the, was that? Sorry. We had a Huber and Associates charge, and it was for PD and backup is what it said. Is that in addition to our normal contract with them, or was that additional?
You still didn't quite hear PD and what?
There's a charge. It just says Huber and Associates PD and backup.
Yeah, so we didn't sign our contract with Huber till about 4 weeks ago, and they just started this week. I believe those are for work that we had. If you recall, we've already contracted them with our police station. We've been using them for a number of years, and we had issues out there with firewalls, and so they've been working on a project out there. I think that's wrapping that project
That's
up.
what that is? Okay.
Yeah.
That's all.
Any other questions? If not, I will move to approve items 1 through 3 of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster to approve items 1 through 3 of the consent agenda as presented. Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster?
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Aye.
Mayor Maples?
Aye.
And Commissioner Faulkner?
Aye.
Okay, we will move on to comments from the public. Any citizen desiring to address the commission shall be recognized, advance to the podium, state his or her name and address for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes unless extended by a vote of the majority of the commission. This commission does not hear matters involving litigation or city personnel. The commission does not take action on subjects not on the agenda unless unusual or hardship conditions exist. Citizens may address the commission on agenda items as they are brought to the floor. Do we have any comments from the public? Okay. We will move on to our regular agenda items. We have no public hearings, special presentations, proclamations, or old business. Now we will move on to new business. We have Resolution R-25-71, a resolution to set a public hearing regarding the vacation of a utility easement at Patterson Square. Director of Public Works Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The owners of Patterson Square Gardens or Apartments contacted us, just kind of cleaning up some of their paperwork on their properties. And before they were built, we had vacated the alleyway through there, but we retained an easement. We're asking now to remove that easement, and that's what this public hearing will be to do, is just to clean up some of their paperwork. So this public hearing we're requesting the public hearing to be set for the first meeting in August of, I believe it's August 12th. And again, this is just to set the public hearing to address the easement issue.
Okay.
I will move to approve Resolution R-25-71.
Second.
Motion was made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Faulkner, to approve Resolution R-25-71 as presented. Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Aye.
Mayor Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
and Commissioner Jones.
Aye. Thank you. Resolution R-25-72, a resolution to approve a work authorization agreement with Alger, Martin and Associates for engineering design services for 7 streets between 11th and 12th Street. Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Thank you again, Mayor and Commissioners. As a city as a whole, we've tried to put our best foot forward and move forward on making city transportation in the streets, especially a safer and better ride. These 7 streets are in pretty bad shape. They are right adjacent to the highway. And so what we're requesting to do is to go ahead and have these fully designed plans and specs ready to go. And then as funds come available, we can put those funds towards these projects and bid those out as funds come available. There wouldn't be one necessarily set project, but this again is just for the engineering design work, as well as they'll take care of designing all the traffic control and getting ready for any KDOT permits requirements.
I looked through this and I guess for the work being done, it seems relatively simple, or it should seem simple for this particular project, for these 1 block sections. And it's up to $140,000, up to that. It seems excessive. I looked at the hours that they're allotting to do each one for their different engineers and technicians, and this seems like a lot for this seemingly simple work on this project. I don't know how they came.
So it's each one is so especially in Coffeyville. So one of the big things and one of the large expenses is surveying. You can't use straight GPS for surveying Coffeyville. Everybody tries it, it doesn't work. So they'll have individual sets up, individual control for each one of those projects are set up, individual plan sets for each project as well. Also, it is a not to exceed amount. This is worst case scenario. We're at $140,000 for full sets of plans. Alger Martin is notorious to come in below that. It's just like a lot of times an engineer's estimate for projects, they'll come in high. The actual price of the project is coming lower. So this is largely based off of their hourly rate that we have is within we have on-call agreements with Alger Martin. So this is kind of their worst case scenario. This is what it would cost, but it will most likely come in significantly under.
I would rather they do the not to exceed amount and have that there, come in, like you said, lower, than to come back and ask us for money, more money later, because they're the ones that know what
Yeah,
they're doing.
we're only charged for the actual time
time
that
that
it takes to
they're
get through.
doing
So
it.
this is,
Right.
again, this is their worst case scenario, trying to figure out, there's a lot of not very good storm drainage, so there's a lot of that they may have to come back and take additional shots because they didn't get far enough for chance. So there's a lot of to and from and just making sure that all those numbers, but we are only charged for the actual time spent based on the rates in, I can't remember which exhibit it is in the, attachment C has the rates that everything's
okay.
based off of
Okay.
for that project. So
Have-
they typically come in underneath
question.
that. Yes.
Why Hall only half the distance, where the rest of them are all the way from?
After
11th
that,
to 12th.
it's a vacated road.
It's a vacated road.
South of that's a vacated road.
That section,
So if I think the map has,
says Hall is only 150 feet.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it runs.
if you look at the map that's provided.
Yeah,
on
I'm
Hall
looking at
Street,
the map.
It's got that blue line through the middle of it, that's property lines. Hall south of there has been vacated.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
That's right there at the dollar store, right?
Yes, so this goes just past
And goes
the
through.
So there's a kind of an entrance into the back way for, what is that,
But where
clinic, and then
manufacturing used to be?
and, yep. So it goes, goes just past their entrance, just behind you is cellular.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Well, if there's no further questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-25-72 as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Jones, to approve Resolution R-25-72 as presented. Commissioner Hendricks,
Aye.
Mayor Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye,
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye.
Okay, Resolution R-25-73, a resolution to approve a work authorization agreement with Algier Martin and Associates for the 11th Street Inlet Reconstruction Project. Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Thank you again. So these, I believe it's a total of 9 storm inlets have failed, they've collapsed, they have become a really somewhat of a traffic hazard if somebody were to get over on them. And so they need to be addressed. We have looked at in the past all of the inlets along there. They're quite old. Some of them are needing replacement soon, but they're not to this point. Alger Martin has in the past gone through and done a lot of work on these inlets. We have a kind of a standard that we've worked up and developed through them that we put on pretty much all the inlets west of Buckeye. We did that during a clink program, I want to say 6 to 7 years ago. It might have been longer. But those, it's a good style of inlet, so that's what we're looking to put back here. Again, this is a not to exceed amount, worst case scenario. Each of these individual intersections will have its own shutdown, have to be planned out, permits pulled, all of those items to make a good, solid project. This one, it will actually take us all the way through the bidding phase.
Are they doing this in conjunction with the previous one?
So this would be a separate contract, but that would.
But
they
it's
might
the
have-
same, is it along the
It's-
same
it's-
section of 11th
Some of
Street?
it's along the same section, so some of it will be kind of hit with. This, the previous one really focuses on just those side streets and the approaches. Some of these are actually on the highway around those corners where we're not getting to.
Oh, I see they have the survey crew, so are they gonna do those at the same time?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, and that's, again, the more they can do when they come down at once, the less it's gonna cost us overall.
And so, as he said, all of these were engineered, surveyed a number of years ago, and at the time, I don't have the reasons why, chose not to follow through on that project. And so at that time, most of those inlets, what's that total number that were?
It was like 160 along the highway. We ended up doing like 40 or 50 of them with that clink project.
Most of them were identified as need major help, and we opted not to do anything. And so the ones that we're talking about now they're now major hazards. They have to be done. We're going to be looking into the rest of those as well, because like I said, we paid for engineering a number of years ago. Based on their recommendation, the city didn't follow up on any of those. So we're now faced with has to be done versus it probably should have been done.
All right, thanks.
I will also note on the inlets, and this might be bringing up why some of this, to fix these, the storm sewer actually runs under the outside lane of the highway. So to connect these up, you have to dig up and do repairs to the highway.
Okay.
Versus, that's why the section that we did do, we were already doing all the joint repair. So that was some of the thought that was going through there, and had a contract, because that's how we did that, was when we did the joint repair, so. We also are looking at both the inlets and these other streets to try to get some KDOT funding to maybe redo large sections of the highway at a time, that could address some of these as well.
All right, good.
Well, if there's no other questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-25-73 as presented.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mayor Maples, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster, to approve Resolution R-25-73 as presented. Mayor Maples,
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
and Commissioner Hendricks.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thomas, is your microphone on?
Yes.
Are you on?
It says, the light's on, so I'm assuming I am.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, resolution R-25-74, a resolution to authorize purchase of meter and materials and issue an invitation to bid for installation of water distribution master meter. Thomas Osborne will make comments.
Thank you again. You may recognize this item from, I don't know, a month or two ago. We brought this to you before, and we missed the time frame just barely by a couple of days, and so there was a price increase on a couple of the items, and so we just wanted to, since we asked for a set dollar amount, we wanted to come back and just re-get your blessings on this increased cost. Overall, we were able to talk some of the increase back down just because we work with the company all the time. But for a total increase of $1,705.01, so change to get those materials. Once we get those materials ordered, and we do have these locked in for another, I think, 15 days. So we shouldn't have any problems because we'll call them tomorrow. But once we get all that material in and get that ready, we'll put out to bid to actually have it installed. So,
Okay. Sounds good.
Was this in the panel you had the fan blowing?
no. So
Okay.
this is a master meter, so it would be, I believe this one's for the distribution. So it will sit basically between the last stage at the water treatment plant and the clear well, I believe is where it's
Okay.
going.
All right.
And then we'll be able to actually track how much water we send up to the reservoir, as well as you can tell the difference between the raw water and your processed water, how much you're losing during that process as well. So this is something that we have to report to the state on. This meter matches the existing meter we have for the raw water, so it all will work together as like we need to.
If there's no further questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-25-74 as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Faulkner, to approve Resolution R-25-74 as presented. Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster,
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks,
Aye.
Mayor Maples.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, resolution R-25-75, a resolution to approve the purchase of street lights for the Street Light KCC Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant Projects. Amber Dean will make comments. Hello.
Hello. Chris had to step out. So last year we received the KCC Energy Efficiency Block Grant for streetlights. We installed 391 lights with that. The lights and the labor came in way under bid, so we're able to install 541 more lights with this grant.
Awesome.
So we're here tonight to ask for approval to purchase the lighting. It's all with grant funding. So I'm just here for approval for that.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you've got them in a variety, 237 residential,
Yes.
right? 181 floodlights?
Yes.
And 123 security lights?
That's correct.
Okay.
And we love it when you say grant funding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So these are located
They're all
across the
throughout
city.
town. Yep.
And then after these are done, where does that leave us, if you know?
We are done.
We are done.
We're tapping out the grant funds.
So we're able to do all of this
yes.
with everything with the
Yes.
grant?
Yep.
That you successfully wrote? and
Yes,
got
ma'am.
us. Great.
That is fabulous.
So that comes out to about 932 lights. Has Chris or anybody projected how much, these are converting to LED lights, right?
I have a report that tells us how much wattage we're saving. I don't have it on me, but I can get you the answer to that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. And they look good.
Yes.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
look good and they're energy efficient and we appreciate
This
it.
will be a savings to the city.
Yes, it
Very
will.
much a savings.
And a good reminder, like grant funding, paying for CDL. And I've seen a lot of comments out there as they've been out, why is the city using this contractor when we have our own staff and we can do this? And, it takes a lot of time. So it was 391, we're about to go do 541. They were out there for nearly 9 months at the time that I've been here. And now we're about to, add 541 more. It may take several more months than that anyway. So this is a lot of time. It is full-time work. We do have staff, but they are out managing our transmission lines, our power lines. So there's plenty of more work for them. They're not sitting down doing nothing, watching these contractors do it. So yes, grant funding is great. It's also that grant funding is paying for the labor because our team does not have the ability to increase this quantity over that amount of time.
Yes, that's good. Okay.
Hey there.
Hello, sorry I'm late.
You're fine.
Okay. Well,
Having an issue with one of our engines, so trying to get that resolved, so.
if there's no further questions, I will move to approve Resolution R-25-75 as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Vice Mayor Van Oster, seconded by Commissioner Faulkner to approve Resolution R-25-75 as presented. Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Van Oster?
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Aye.
Mayor Maples?
Aye.
And Commissioner Faulkner?
Aye.
Okay, Resolution R-25-76, a resolution to award a construction contract to CDL Electric for the Street Light KCC Energy Efficiency Conservation Block Grant Project. Executive Director of Electric, Chris Weiner, will make comments.
So this is coupled with the one you just voted on, so I'm sure Amber and Ben kind of already covered everything, but
Yes.
any further questions?
Nope.
We're just
It's a
excited
good
that we're
thing.
getting this done.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I move to approve Resolution R-25-76 as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Faulkner, seconded by Commissioner Jones to approve Resolution R-25-76 as presented. Vice Mayor Van Oster?
Aye.
Commissioner Hendricks?
Aye.
Mayor Maples?
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner?
Aye.
And Commissioner Jones?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you all for your support.
Okay, Resolution R-25-77, a resolution to authorize the offering for sale of taxable general obligation bonds, Series 2025-A of the City of Coffeyville. Director of Finance, Martin Cummings, and Executive Director of Electric, Chris Weiner, will make comments.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
This has probably been on your radar for now going on, this is the second year. This evening we are just coming to ask that you authorize the city's financial advisor, Baker Tilly Municipal Advisors, in conjunction with its bond counsel, Gilmore and Bell, and of course the city's finance director and clerk, to offer for sale taxable general obligation bonds to finance 2 new 125 MVA transformers in the amount up to $23 million. Now you'll notice already that in one of the exhibits you'll see is the proposed sale of the bond that you'll see. We're not anticipating the need to go up to $23 million. Right now we're looking at just a little over $18 million in the current bond structure that we're contemplating. But as we've not finalized everything, it could go north or south of kind of where we're currently at. So we are asking for the authority to go up to $23 million. Obviously, this is in support of the Coffeyville Resources nitrogen fertilizer plant. I think it's worth noting that this is, they are our most significant purchaser of wholesale power. And its operations have increased. And so currently, the city's current transformers are no longer serving the plant's needs safely, as the current load can no longer allows for any operational redundancy. As such, the city is currently negotiating an agreement through which financing of the transformer upgrade will be made possible by this bond issuance. I think it's worth commenting to the public that this act of support from the city serves to support the industrial operations of a major community employer. And that supports not only economic activity in the city itself, but the entire Mid-Con area of the country, going as far west as Wichita, as far south as Tulsa, and beyond. So both the fertilizer plant and the power and the refinery do a lot of business in this area. So we look forward to being able to support them in this endeavor. But with that, are there any questions?
And I will add one thing just to clarify within that statement. So, which financing of the transformers upgrade will be possible by this bond. The city is not paying this bond. CRNF is paying, and I know you've heard that. I also want to say that for those watching. The city's not taking on an obligation to go and pay that debt service. That will be paid through CRNF.
Right. And I think probably further to further clarify along those lines, the bond issuance will be in the city's name. The city will own the equipment. It will be part of the city's infrastructure, but CRNF will be reimbursing the city the annual or the semi-annual cost of that bond servicing. So, again, the details are, we're still working out all the particulars and the details with CRNF on the nature of that agreement. So it's also worth noting that this is the authority to do a bond offering, not the obligation. Okay. So.
Right. And they'll be available in denominations of 5,000, correct?
And it's interesting that
Or mult or whatever after that, yeah.
So essentially, what's probably a good reminder for everybody on bond issuances, municipal bond issuances, is it's not a single bond that gets issued, but it's a series of bonds that are issued. So every time the city makes a principal payment, we are in effect paying off a bond and then moving on to the next bond issuance.
Right.
So
Well, that's only the schedule for the up to maximum amount.
that's,
And like you said, it won't be that, so these numbers will be different.
yeah, potentially. Now, if you'll look at the exhibit there, the notice of bond sale, that is the current proposed amount, which is that's currently on the table in our discussions, $18.2 million. Okay. Again, we could end up a little lower than that. We could end up a little bit higher than that. Just depends on how certain details get shook out in our current negotiations with CRNF.
Are there any projections on yield for the investor?
What you'll need to do is I'll have to refer you back to the exhibit. There are a variety of, each bond issuance has its own interest rate that it carries. So it's not a single interest rate for the entire series of issuances. So I can get you some more details on that if you'd like. That I don't happen to have that handy right
Sorry,
now.
I thought you might have it handy.
No,
Not necessarily.
but I'm happy to provide it for you after, once we.
Yeah, that's part of the bid process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
If there are no other questions, I'll move to approve resolution R-25-77.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster, to approve Resolution R-25-77 as presented. Commissioner Hendricks?
Aye.
Mayor Maples?
Aye.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
and Vice Mayor Van Oster.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to the city manager's report.
Yeah, and Chris, since you're halfway up, why don't you just come back and give us an update on our Wartzilla engines, where we're at?
Absolutely. So we have just completed the overhaul of our engines, thankfully, finally through that process. Although we're having some minor issues as we come out of that. You hit about that 200-hour runtime after the overhaul, and you start to see some issues. There's some minor oil leaks. There's some various issues here or there that we're getting cleaned up. Tighten things a little bit, but we've had a couple issues with Unit 8 here recently, and so we got one of those fixed. It just popped up its head again here just about 20 minutes ago, so we're trying to get that resolved. We're supposed to run again tomorrow morning, so trying to see if we can get that thing ironed out here so we can run again tomorrow. But overall, we know it's not it's a sensor problem. So hey, it's nothing incredibly significant. We don't believe, because it's a temperature gauge. It's reading too hot. Unfortunately, Wartzilla's equipment is all proprietary, essentially the brains of it, and so we have to. A lot of times, if we can't figure it out ourselves since in the computer, we have to call the tech, and that gets expensive. So you've seen, I'm sure here recently, or you will anyways, some expenses that we have had to have some Wartzilla techs come in to get us some issues resolved, get back online, because they have to plug their proprietary computer in and resolve whatever issue is there. We've had 2 Wartzilla techs here since in the past month and a half, I believe. We were able to avoid having to have a third trip just this past week, thankfully. But this same issue that we're facing right now. We thought we were going to have a tech come in. It occurred on Wednesday last week, and everybody was gone for the holiday already, and so it's like this is not going to be good. But we were able to get that resolved yesterday to get back online. But it's came up again, so we're hoping we can resolve it, but may have to have another tech come in, unfortunately. Hopefully not, but each time that occurs, it's $20,000 to $25,000. So it's not cheap by any means, and one of the factors that we're looking at when considering a maintenance package with Wartzilla, that we have never had that in the past. It's always been deemed that we don't need the maintenance package. We can figure things. We have our own maintenance crew. We can figure things out on our own. But they do have a maintenance package where they can monitor our equipment remotely, where they can do troubleshooting remotely and try and fix things off-site without having to send a tech. And in the event that we do have an issue, then they'll send a tech, and they've got to respond. What we ran into over the weekend was that we couldn't get a hold of anybody because everybody was gone. And so we were into forced outage all weekend, and that can get incredibly expensive. When we're in just a normal outage, we lose our capacity payments, which is $4,000 a day per engine. But when we're in a forced outage, we lose our capacity payments, and we have to buy essentially replacement energy from the energy that we would normally be generating. So it's expensive when we go into forced outage, and so we try and avoid that as much as possible. And if what we're able to have a lot of these issues fixed remotely, that provides us a lot of value. And so if we have to have a third tech come back to fix 8, or if we run into problems with 9 or 10, which we haven't had yet, the cost of the maintenance package would have paid for itself, we believe at this point, because $20,000 3 times. But we're going to have a meeting first part of next week with them to kind of go over what those options are. There's different tiers to that package in terms of service level and response time that they're required to respond within. So something that we'll be talking about moving forward, and I'll be working with City Manager Brubaker on to see, hey, what really probably is our best approach moving forward. But I think that's something we'll definitely at least want to consider, in my opinion, that I don't like paying money that we don't have to, but at the end of the day, if it's something that this is going to be an opportunity for us to make sure that our equipment is operating at its highest level, I think that'd be a good thing. A lot of these machines, come to find out that we haven't done software updates on them since we got them, so we're about 6 years behind on a software update. That's caused us some headaches. The package they're recommending at this point was that, well, we spend, I believe it was around $100,000 to upgrade to the newest software. But ideally, you would do that. They come out with a new software upgrade every 10 years, and we're already, I think they said, 2 years into it. Just a few years into it. So we would be essentially getting not a full 10 years out of the upgrade like we would normally hope to get out of the most recent upgrade, but we have had to disable some of the components of the system that normally we would have operational because we don't have the right software package to go along with the engines. So, there's a lot of upkeep costs, a lot of maintenance costs to these engines, and we just went through a major overhaul, but I would like to make sure that when we have the next one, I'm anticipating probably here in 4 or 5 years because our runtime just keeps getting more and more every year. I'd like to try and be a little bit better prepared for that, I think, than we were this time. The SPP is getting more and more difficult to even schedule an outage. I know this time we were hoping to get this overhaul done over a year ago, but they said, hey, we are going to change our outage windows and not allow you to do an overhaul like you would like to. So everybody's suffering those same challenges. We had a meeting with GRDA today, and they're going through the same thing. But I think it's just we need to kind of adapt along with the changing energy market and the challenges that it provides.
I'll piggyback on that, and then I'll ask you to give an update on the steam plant too. So Chris said we had a meeting today. We also had one 2 or 3 weeks ago now that Chris and I went out to GRDA, and I emphasized in this meeting today, and what I think I'm learning, and Chris has already been ahead of me on this, but not everything that we perceive within our GRDA contract is a GRDA mandate. A lot of it is SPP. And so we're going to continue to work through those contracts and understand, but we would sit there at the table and say, well, when you turn our engines on, right, when you deploy them, and they're like, well, really, that's not us. They submit our engines and our generation capacity to SPP, and SPP schedules that. So a lot of the variations within these contracts is not, GRDA making up rules. This is they're following SPP, and regardless of your Evergy or someone else, KMEA, you're gonna follow those same SPP rules. So that's good to note as we start to keep dissecting and understand our agreement with them and trying to find out where those boundaries are. In our first meeting, and clarified to get today again in our second meeting, not only have we not updated software in several years, but we have not adjusted provisions within our contract since we've signed it with these new engines that we could have. And these also help us to regulate what SPP can do. And so if we were adjusting these metrics because we want to account for greater maintenance costs, we can do that. But then are you more competitive, and so they don't use you as much, so your revenue goes down. So there are these fluctuations that we found within that. Chris is working on that right now with GRDA in partnership to figure out how we can go in and adjust those. We can adjust the which engines go on and those costs. So this is all SPP looking at how expensive or how affordable is it to go run which engines to generate. And because we have not made those adjustments for a number of years, they're picking us. And so we start now and going through and make those adjustments, we may see that the quantity of use goes down a little bit. Now, overall, to Chris's point, the market and the fluctuations that are out there, it's just going to continue on the rise regardless. but we have a little bit more power to make some adjustments in there that I think any of the staff has known for quite some time, because we haven't done it since those contracts existed. That includes the usage of our steam plant, which as of January 25, there were some provisions in there which would keep SPP from utilizing it to a point of exhaustion or failure. Those ended in January. GRDA has not updated that with SPP, and so we've continued on. I don't want to continue on in that and hopeful that that doesn't get updated, so we've asked them about updating those provisions as well, and GRDA is open to that. It's all about what can you run, and we'll notify SPP. So we're learning some good things. We continue to find pieces that we could have utilized to make changes to help us that have not been utilized, just like maintenance of software and other things. So I think we're learning a lot, and there's some good benefits in there that we're going to go out and start adjusting to hopefully help support.
One thing that bothers me in this, what you just said, was that in 4 to 5 years, SPP is being more difficult with when you can have a maintenance outage. And these are machines. They wear down, they break, and when they do, we shouldn't be punished for it. They should be happy with an overhaul and give that time, because you can't run a broken machine. So I don't understand why there's not a provision in there that when an overhaul is needed, it's needed, and try to do it in the least energy usage time of the year. And they can contractually hold us and say, no, you can't overhaul yet. You have to keep running this machine that's
it's
almost
kind of that
broken.
supply and demand mentality, right? SPP is there to say, here's the demand needed in this area, and they're there to have the power to make sure, right? Their goal is not making money; it's having availability of energy throughout their zone. So, I would say that loosely on a few reasons. One, those relationships keep changing. Chris notified me of a change recently where, and GRDA told us, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think this is federal government pushing, where SPP would take 3 to 5 years to approve projects. They've just announced that they are going to approve those same projects in 90 days. And so we believe that there's a lot of pushing on the federal level to change policies, and we may see things like that change too. I think what I have learned, these boards that we're on, meeting with GRDA, is things are changing so rapidly in this electric generation market that you can be frustrated about something today and it may change tomorrow.
Well, the region of the SPP right now, who's in it, they're just going to need more and more power because of Texas, because of Dallas, Kansas City, everywhere. And if you say that they're calling on us more than others, maybe we're too cheap.
Well, so to the point that City Manager Brubaker made a little bit ago, that's where we have the ability to annually, once a year, adjust essentially what our cost is. We haven't done that since we got those units in 2017, brought them online. So I'm looking at trying to adjust those numbers to say, hey, our operational costs, our operation and maintenance costs have gone up in the past 8 years, and so we need to reflect that in what we say is the cost to run these engines, because those engines, the cost of running them has gone up in the past 8 years. So I'm going to look to adjust those numbers upwards. In doing so, there is a trade-off that our capacity payments that we get from GRDA do go down with a correlation. Every little bit that you raise it, the capacity payments do go down. Now it's not a one-for-one, so try and find that sweet spot, equilibrium point as best we can, but we're not going to be able to tweak incrementally I think we can raise a little bit more, because you can only do it once a year. So that'll be...
When is that once a year?
Whenever we decide to do that. So
I
my
didn't know if
intent...
you had to do it on a certain date.
No, and to that point, Chris, talking about putting policies in place, so this is reviewed and looked at every year, so we don't have another 8-year window where nothing was touched. But once you do it, you now have a date, because you only can do it once a year.
Correct.
You have to wait at least 365 days before you do it again.
Yes.
At least, okay.
Yes. So we certainly, I do anticipate that we should generate more revenue, because again, it's not a one-for-one correlation. But as long as we don't set that number too high, we should wind up with a better number with lower runtime. So it'll lengthen the lifespan of our engines, as well as we should bring in, at the end of the day, more money. But you got to be careful where you set that number. But I think the overall, we should be in a better position. And even if we do go a little bit higher, at the end of the day, it lengthens the lifespan of our engines, which, when we pay the debt service off here in another 20 years, I'd like for there to still be life left in these engines, so that way we can now be generating revenue from these engines without the debt service costs associated.
Steam plant?
So the steam plant, we are online right now. So if you leave here, you can drive next door and see our 60-year-old operation there. It's going strong. The steam plant's had some challenges here recently. Last week we ran again. Today we got dispatched. We're in a resource advisory right now. There's really no wind at all today, and so we were dispatched for the need for electricity generation. Last week when we ran about 3/4 of the way through our run, we normally run a 48-hour minimum run when we run the steam plant, we ended up having one of our heaters go out. The process in generating the energy there, I'm sure you all may be aware, but for the general public, I guess, we heat it up. We heat the water up through a series of heaters. Go through one heater, comes out a couple hundred degrees, go through another heater, it heats it up another 100 degrees, goes through an economizer, which basically heats it up yet further, and then goes into the boiler. When it goes into the boiler, it's already incredibly hot water. So for the boiler to convert it then to steam is fairly easy, because it's already incredibly hot and very easy to transition to that gaseous state. One of those two heaters has been broken since 2018, and so the decision was made apparently 7 or 8 years ago that it was too expensive to fix. The price tag 8 years ago or so was about $200,000 to fix that, and so the thought was, well, the lifespan of this steam plant may not be another 8 years. It obviously has made it that long, but the rationale, to my understanding at that point in time, was, hey, let's not spend the money to fix this. The other heater went out last week. So our challenge, and granted, I don't believe, we're still looking into this, but I don't believe this other heater that failed is necessarily quite as large of a fix as what the first one was. So hopefully we can get it done more economically. But our challenge is that we're putting much colder water into the boiler, and so it's spending a lot more fuel, a lot more natural gas to heat that water up to turn into steam. It's a lot harder on the boiler to run that hard to be able to try and generate that much additional heat to be able to turn that water into steam. So it shortens the lifespan of our boiler as well when it's working that hard to convert it to steam. So I'm looking at potentially having in front of you here before too much longer unplanned expenses of fixing both of those heaters. I wasn't aware of the initial heater not being functional until this other one went down. So my thought would be, even though we may, and we'll do some cost benefit analysis obviously on it to see, hey, what we think the value is there, but the fix of the heaters I anticipate to be a very small fraction compared to the fix of the boiler. in the event that the boiler fails on us and we have to retube the entire boiler or something. At that point, the steam plant is probably dead. And I'd like to try and get at least another 4 to 5 years out of it if we can, to get those capacity payments, to continue to be able to generate energy from time to time, give us time to be able to build new generation to replace it, or upgrade it, whatever we need to do. So I do believe that we'll probably have some unplanned expenses to replace or repair those heaters coming up here in the near future. Just want to give you kind of an update on the why. So, any questions?
Thanks, Chris.
Possibly sort of unrelated, but are our engines the same as the engines down in Oklahoma?
Our Wartzilla engines are, yes. It's a sister plant to Stillwater.
Okay. Is there any communication back and forth about best practices and swapping ideas on how to make things work better?
Absolutely. And that's been something that has been going on for a number of years. Both the cities of Coffeyville and Stillwater have done a tremendous job of staying in contact and sharing ideas, sharing parts, sharing equipment as needed to help each other out. That's a great relationship there with their team down in Oklahoma. The one thing that I would say that I think that they probably have been a little bit more prepared than we have is that they have a lot more stock of parts than what we do. I'm trying to rectify that. So again, something you'll see, and Ben's been seeing some of these parts for stock orders that I'm putting in for, but I don't want to be in a situation where we're in a forced outage when I'm having to pay for GRDA to buy energy from somebody else at market prices because we're down, when I could have a spark plug or something else that just sitting on a shelf over here that we can swap out real quick and be able to get the situation rectified. Stillwater has been an incredible help for us here recently, in that we had some relays go bad, some various components go bad that we were able to just run down, pick up, and bring back. They're still going through their overhaul. They started before we did, and they're still going through it. So thankfully, we've even though it took a lot longer than I was hoping for it to, we're better off than they are, because, like I said, they began their overhaul before we did, and they're still not up and running. And so I think that goes to show that, hey, this is a challenging process, but it's one that I'm really proud of our team. We had contractors here to help out and get our staff trained, certainly, but I think we've had a successful overhaul process. We're still going through some issues to get everything 100%, like I said, but overall it's been fairly good, and then Stillwater's been a critical partner in that, because there have been multiple times, even during this overhaul process, where they would even bring up a tool that we needed, or we would go down and grab one, and we've shared parts with them, tools with them, and vice versa. It's been a great relationship. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Just a reminder, we have our first budget workshop on Thursday. That is open to the public. That agenda did go out. We'll start by talking about some capital improvement projects with electric, much like we had from Public Works, and then move into that budget session. I did send out an email early today, just kind of updating the digital budget worksheet that you have. We will also have a printed copy for you on Thursday. We're making small adjustments as we continue to go through that, as each of you have reached out with various questions to make those updates. So Thursday, 5:30, we'll see you then. The only other thing that I have, I know there's a few questions, but I just want to recognize Shasta here. I think she thought she'd have a lot more errors going through that, and it hasn't. It's been very smooth in Melissa's absence, so we thank her for being here.
Good job. Thank you. Okay, comments from commissioners and staff?
Ben, at the next meeting, will we be able to talk trash?
Are we talking the budget meeting?
No, the next regular commission meeting.
Yeah, we can talk trash. We can review some of that right now too. So frustrations that we've heard from the community and Commissioner Faulkner has brought up as well is this requirement that the public is getting to wrap things that are for bulk pickup that are fabric. They've been asked to wrap it in plastic. And so that frustration had been coming to our ears. Commissioner Faulkner brought it up. We reached out, and essentially some of the first time they showed up, they were picking up items covered in bed bugs, which then that poor driver has to deal with that and figure that out for their home. But as Commissioner Faulkner pointed out, that's a them problem to figure out. They're in the trash pickup business. That's not in our contract. And so Melissa and I had a conversation with them and suggested that that was not acceptable. That was without the contract, and if we need to go back and review that contract and have attorneys from both sides look at that. And the response was, no, we don't need to get attorneys or commission involved. We will take care of it. That was, I think, with the holiday weekend, I had not heard back on their resolution, but they said rest assured, we'll get that figured out on their end. So to be determined on what that looks like, or if truly they do come back and say we should open up the contracts and talk.
Gloves and long sleeves. I mean,
Yeah, well, it then becomes their argument, and I understand, right, that we're talking to the manager there and he has to look out for his people. That then transfers to your vehicle, and it stays in your vehicle for the next person to sit there, and you bring your clothes at home, and now it's at your family. So I understand their need, but to your point, Commissioner Faulkner, that's their job. They should figure out the hazards of that job and know how to respond. We didn't have that with our last trash service. So hopefully there'll be a resolution of that here quickly. We will reach out if there's a resolution sooner than our next meeting, just so you hear, but I anticipate that they are looking for that resolution. There's another item on that I think we'll wait a little bit longer on as well. If you recall, when we first contracted with, we had options for bulk pickup. And we opted for a calling in and notifying them of bulk pickup, and that would all happen on the same day for the entire city. Have started to hear low rumblings on that. I haven't heard from any commissioners, so I'd obviously recommend people reach out to city staff or commissioners if there's a concern there. But we do have another option, which is to go back and have zones, and people have days, and they just run that route. Part of our initial concern with doing that is putting those heavy trucks back on our streets and running constantly, and the damage it was doing to streets. And so this was in an effort and a proposal by them, why don't we just do it one day and pick everything up? So we'll continue to listen and get feedback. I think people are still learning this new bulk pickup, so I'd like to give it a few more weeks before we go and make some type of adjustment, especially for the care of our roads. But we can, as you hear those complaints come up, make adjustments if needed.
I think part of that problem too may be that in the quadrant of the city I'm in, it's on the first Friday, the first Friday of the month for the pickup. But many people think all they have to do is just set it out. There's no need to call. That may be part of the confusion as well.
Yeah, and we've been, we of course attempted to educate through that process. That's on our regular post to remind people. I think a lot of people out there that have gotten used to it are out telling their neighbors as well. But that was a change. The other change to that before, the trucks that came in, their overhead loaders was 3 cubic yards, and so they said we could take up to 3 cubic yards, and now it's, instead of a cubic yards, and someone trying to calculate, well, what does that mean? They say 4 items. Now, generally speaking, if there are 6 bags of leaves, the driver is supposed to just grab all of them, because you'll take 4 recliners, but you won't take 6 bags of leaves, right? That doesn't exactly make sense. So we did have that conversation when we talked to, and just said, I don't know if that's translating to the folks in the office that are talking to people, because they're telling people 4 items only. again, if they're relative in size. Now, we talked about, just a big heap of brush, so they need to bundle those things up for them to take versus just dump it on the side of the street. So there's still some communication on that. I will say that people are able to call into Waste Connections and have those conversations where before they had to call us and we had to call that service. So I think overall the customer experience, there's answers to questions sooner, and it's just going to take some time to educate on what this change is and get people used to it.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? I don't have anything. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, I will make a motion to adjourn.
I have a second.
Motion made by Mayor Maple, seconded by Vice Mayor Van Oster to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.